Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic, the show here I do Monday through Friday, doing nothing but taking your live comments of things you want to talk about, you guys having your say, as well as letting you guys send in some audio and video questions. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Awesome to have you guys here today. We got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. But listen, if you're somebody who wants to get a question on Open Mic, you can ask live, but the other way you can get a question or a comment or an opinion on Open Mic is by sending me in an audio or a video file of you talking. And how do you get those audio and video files to me? You simply email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word Open Mic in the subject line. Guys, this is important. This email is not for you to send in a text question. If you want a text question, you got to do that live. But if you want to send in a video or an audio to be here on the show, just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word Open Mic and include your video or your audio. And you can put a link to the video too if you want, but just keep your question or comment or opinion to 20 seconds or less. Otherwise, pardon me, it's just too much screen time. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started today with the first video question that gets sent in to us, and this comes to us from Terry.
Hi John, my question is this. Most people can name their top 10 Spielberg movies, but can't name the writers of those movies. Do you think writers should get a little bit more credit and also share a little bit more blame when a film is successful or tanks? Thanks for taking my question.
Bring on the filthy, I love it. Yeah, this is an age-old question when it comes to the movies about, when it comes to the balance of blame and credit between, writers and directors. And honestly, one of the reasons I made my own movie was because this is one of the things I wanted to learn about. And one of the main reasons I made my movie, called The Anniversary, was because one of the big reasons was just because I wanted to appreciate more the process of making movies so I could understand the movie business a little bit better for when I'm doing my movie punditry. And I was both the director and the writer, but it was interesting because you can see why this kind of thing is always a constant battle between the two. Look, I've always said this. You can make a bad movie out of a good script. We see it happen all the time. It's very, very difficult to make a good movie out of a bad script. Writers, I think, look, I still believe directors are the main person that the buck needs to stop with them. They get the lion's share of the credit. They should get the lion's share of the blame. But that being said, that doesn't mean I don't think we need to increase the profile of the writer, of the screenwriter, because it all starts with the script. I mean, and starting off with the script means if it's a bad script, it's probably going to be a bad movie. If it's a great script, it has a better chance at being a great movie. So while I'm not one of these people that I don't believe writers deserve as much credit towards a movie as a director does, I believe they need to get a lot more credit and a lot more recognition than they currently do. All right, let's get on now to the next question. And this next one comes to us. It's an audio question coming to us from Jack. And Jack writes this, or says this.
Hey JC, it's Jack Fitzgerald from Barrie, Ontario. What are your thoughts about Brian Fuller's Hannibal? Talks revival began in autumn. Hey, your show's getting better every day. Great work, bud.
All right, thank you very much. And Hannibal was one of those shows, which, by the way, Brian Fuller, who did Hannibal, he was one of the guys who got that whole Star Trek Discovery going, too. I don't think he's with the show anymore, but at any rate, Hannibal was a show I was very late to the party on. I remember I just never bothered checking it out. It's like a television version of a movie, so I didn't bother getting into it. And it was well into its second season. Finally, when enough of my viewers, kept on me about it and kept saying, John, you got to check out Hannibal. You got to check it out. You got to check it out. So I finally did, and I ate it up. I breezed through the first 2 seasons probably in about 4 days. I'm not kidding. In about 4 days, I breezed through the first couple of seasons. I must admit I did not finish the 3rd season for 2 reasons. One, to me, the 3rd season just didn't have that same magic to me that the first 2 seasons did. But almost more importantly was the fact that I knew the series got canceled. So I kind of felt like, do I even need to finish watching this? I mean, the series got canceled. How big of an important thing is they can't be setting anything up for future stories, blah, blah, blah. And that combined with it made me give up. Now, I remember talking to a friend of mine recently and saying that I do want to finally finish off that season. I think I got about 3 or 4 episodes into season 3. And I will check it out, but I absolutely loved the first 2 seasons. If you guys have not checked out Hannibal yet, I highly recommend you give it a shot. All right, let's move on now to the next submission. This one comes to us. It's another audio file that comes to us from Micah.
Hey John, I'm a big fan. Just wanted to know your thoughts on The Flash Season 4, Episode 10, The Trial of the Flash. Keep bringing on the filthy.
Thanks a lot for the question, man. I gotta tell you, I really liked it. The direction they've gone this season has been somewhat questionable. And certainly in the first half of the season, there were a number of episodes that I thought, oh, is this show starting to lose its steam? But I will say, the way they've been kind of resolving this whole thing and the storyline that they've got going with, how do you pronounce the villain's name? Moreau, Servo, something like that. Marlowe? No, whatever. Something else. Everybody in the chat board, let me know how I properly pronounce that. Anyway, it's been coming too. And that quote-unquote climax of it with the trial of the Flash, I thought that was really good television, to be honest with you. I love the fact that they introduced the notion that, well, I don't want to give too much away in case you haven't seen it, but the fact that they introduced the notion about, hey, maybe it's just time to reveal my secret identity. That solves it, and some other things too. I really liked it, and I am slowly starting to get back on board with the show this season because, like I said, the first half of the season was questionable for me. It was real questionable for me, but I've been catching back up onto it, and I like what they've been doing so far. All right, let's move on now to the next submission. This one's a video that comes to us from Gabriel.
Hello, John Campea. My name's Gabriel from the Nerd Sheet. My question to you is, as you can see, I have many nerdy things around me. What's the nerdiest thing that you own?
Wow, the nerdiest thing that I own. I don't have a ton of nerdy stuff. Like, I mean, I've got a lot of nerd stuff that you can see behind me for sure, but like nothing outside of the ordinary. I'd say maybe the most nerdy thing I have, if you want to cross nerd genres, you can see right here. And that is this wonderful picture that was given to me as a gift of Calvin and Hobbes, because I'm a huge Calvin and Hobbes fan, as Han Solo and Chewbacca riding the Millennium Falcon. I love that picture. And I'm sure there are some people who would look at that picture and have no idea what it is or any idea what it means. But to me, it's really special. I love that photo. And I'm always going to have it. So that I think is my favorite thing. Like a lot of the other stuff I have are just collectibles. Anything you could buy anywhere. But that one to me is pretty special. And maybe some people would even consider it nerdy. I kind of do. But I love that one. All right. Let's move on to the next submission. This one comes to us from Tim.
Space Battleship Yamato inspired some of our favorite IPs. Google it. I'm a huge fan of the 2010 live-action film. I'd love to know your thoughts. I think the third act is problematic, but when Kodai here puts his uniform on for the first time, I nearly peed my pants. Anyway, thanks again for your content. Take care. Bye.
For you guys who watch me in a period of time, you know I love Space Battleship Yamato, also aka Star Blazers. And there was, in 2010, a live-action film put together, a Japanese live-action film, based on Space Battleship Yamato, and it was pretty true to it. And I gotta say, there's this moment where the Space Battleship Yamato emerges out, because it's a space battleship that was built out of the World War II on-sea battleship Yamato, and they built a space battleship out of it. And so it's kind of buried in the bed of this dried up lake or ocean, whatever. And anyway, the moment in the movie, it's quite early on in the movie, when they first take off and it emerges out of the dirt for the first time, the dirt starts to fall off it, and they play that music. Bum ba bum ba 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 bum 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 ba bum ba 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 bum ba bum ba ba bum 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 ba. I'm getting chills. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. That was the moment to me that was really special. And look, I'm going to be honest with you, Tim. I didn't love that 2013 film. I mean, I loved seeing it in live action for the first time in my life. The story of Star Blazers. That's great. I honestly didn't think it was that great of a rendition, even though it was very special just seeing it in live action at first. But what that movie did to me was it showed me and convinced me that a North American big screen version of that movie, made by more skilled filmmakers, could be incredible. Could be just amazing. And you know what? I know the full version of that 2010 Space Battleship Yamato. It's on YouTube. You can look it up on YouTube. It's there. The full movie's on there. Just do a search for it and you should be able to find it. Because it's fun. But watch it, and at the very minimum, maybe you'll love it like Tim. Maybe you won't think it's all that great like me. But if anything, it should give you an appreciation for just how good a Star Blazers movie in North America really could be. I think it would just be amazing. All right, let's move on now to the next submission. And the next submission comes to us from Nathan.
John, thank you so much for all you do. Love the show. Watch it every day. My question is about Solo, A Star Wars Story, and this trailer. 4 months away, and just like everybody else, I'm scratching my head wondering when in the world we're going to get a trailer. So if you were a part of the marketing team, what would be good, valid reasons to make us wait so long to see any footage? Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, it is important to keep in mind, too, that, look, we are in an era right now where we have become accustomed, pardon me, to big, giant blockbuster films putting out trailers 9 months in advance. Sometime as early as like a year in advance, but like 9 months in advance, and then getting 5 or 6 trailers by the time the movie's still 2 months away. The reality is, even though I'm questioning, hey, where's the Solo trailer? You guys have watched me. You guys know I'm still questioning that. But it's important that we take a step back and realize the movie's still 4 months away. It's still 4 months. It's still almost half a pregnancy away. All right? It's still that. If your wife was 4.5 months pregnant, guess what? Your baby, it still ain't going to come by the time the movie comes out. I mean, it's still a ways away. So it's not like, and remember, I know you guys have heard me mention this example before, but it bears repeating, that the first trailer for John Wick, the first John Wick film with Keanu Reeves, it didn't drop till like 3.5 to 4 weeks before the movie came out. There is still plenty of time to do a full-blown, aggressive marketing campaign. And there's something to be said about, instead of spending all your money over 7 months, when really trailers you put out 7 months before the movie comes out is not going to help your box office at all. Not really. So saving all your marketing budget for a concentrated full court press marketing campaign starting, say, I don't know, 12 weeks out, 14 weeks out, something like that, and doing a really solid push. There's a lot of valid reasons to do something like that. It's not the way they've done it with Star Wars before. But then again, this is unlike any Star Wars movie we've had before. And the circumstances surrounding its production are obviously very much talked about. We all know the story about Lord Miller coming and going and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of interesting things here for us to keep an eye on and to understand. And I think the movie's going to be fine. There's still plenty of time for it to do a marketing campaign. I still think there's a 10% chance they move the film, which might ultimately be why they're delaying it. But even if it's not, it just seems like there's still tons of time. Tons of time. All right, guys, that will do for all the submitted questions. By the way, guys, if you have submitted in a question, just because it doesn't get used today doesn't necessarily mean I'm not planning on using it. It's just that I only want to use about 5 or 6 per day. Maybe you'll still see your question if you submitted one pop up tomorrow, but keep your eyes open for that. All right, let's move on now to the live questions. And with the live questions, I just got just a handful of ones that I want to make up for that I didn't get to on the John Campea show a little bit earlier today. So I want to start with those ones. So we start off with Charlie Zakari, who writes, do you need to see other X-Men movies before Logan? I think the best way to answer that is it helps. I mean, it certainly gives you a little bit more background. It certainly gives you a little bit more context. But really, all you need to know to see Logan is there was this thing called the X-Men. Wolverine was a part of it. Professor Xavier was the leader of it. That's all you really need to know. And then one of the things they did really well with Logan is they really did make it a very well put together self-contained story. It is a self-contained story. And I guess now that I'm done with the with the media questions you guys sent in, I can unplug my my headphones. Oh, headphones are unpleasant things. They're uncomfortable. Anyway, one of the really good things they did with Logan was they made it a very good self-contained story. So, while I will say there is some benefit to having watched and knowing some of the previous X-Men films, in no way, shape, or form do you need to see Logan and to be able to go in and fully grasp everything going on in the movie. So I would say, no, you don't need to see those other ones. Mr. Green Arrow writes, would you enjoy a George Miller Man of Steel 2? You guys know what I'm going to say. Why not? Would you like X-talented actor to direct X movie or X-talented director to direct X movie? Sure. As long as X director is talented, sure. George Miller is a talented director, so sure. Him and 100 other talented directors, I would say sure too. He's a talented director, so sure, I'd be on board for that. Why not? Adam K. writes, while I wish Logan got more Oscar love, I'm thrilled it's the first superhero film to get an adapted screenplay nomination. It's a huge step for the genre. And yeah, I mentioned this. This was a topic I talked about on the John Campea show a little bit earlier today, was that I think, and I am guilty of this, I think so many people, me most of all, were so fixated when the Academy Award nominations came out on the fact that Logan didn't get a Best Picture nomination and that Patrick Stewart didn't get a Best Supporting Actor nomination, that I failed to grasp the historical significance of Logan getting a Best Screenplay nomination. This is the first time ever that a comic book movie has been given one of the highest honors at the Academy, Best Screenplay. It's never happened before. And I think, like I said, a lot of people like me were so fixated on the negative, on the fact that, you know, it didn't get a Best Picture nomination, all that kind of stuff, that we totally allowed the historical moment of that to fly over our heads, of the fact that it got a Best Screenplay nomination. I'm with you, man. It's amazing. I'm thrilled. I think this is a game changer. I think Logan getting nominated for Best Screenplay, and it fully deserved it, is a game changer. And I think you've got a lot of people at DC, Warner Brothers, a lot of people at Marvel, Disney, who are now licking their chops about, you know what? Now we're not just going to make really profitable movies. We're going to make movies here that get Oscar buzz. We've seen it can be done. We can do it too. And it took Fox to do it, but we can do it too. And I think we're going to see the game change now. I really do. Maybe not overnight, but I think this is a game changer. Ben Rayner writes, will there be a spacey cut of All the Money in the World on digital? No, I don't think so. And I know you're just being facetious, Ben. But no, I think they've probably burned and thrown the spacey cut away. I don't think we're ever going to see, that's ever going to see the light of day. Ken Kanye writes, or Kaney writes, powerful moment. Obi-Wan realizes he let Anakin survive. I was but a learner. What if he was learning his suit and dark side? I don't know what any of that means. I don't. Okay, powerful moment. Obi-Wan realizes he let Anakin survive. I was but a learner. What if he was learning his suit and the dark side? I'm not quite sure what that means. You ended off with a hashtag Vader and Kenobi. I don't want Vader and Kenobi. I think that would just be too forced. And it, again, I've talked about this before. I think trying to shoehorn Vader into a standalone Obi-Wan Kenobi movie breaks canon. I think it violates canon. I know there are some people out there who have tried to come up with reasons it could work, but that's just playing semantics. And to me, it's playing fast and loose with canon, and to me, canon's supposed to mean something. So I personally wouldn't want it. Devontae Brown writes, nearly all PG-13 horror films I go to on opening nights have disruptive teens with cops there. With cops there? How should theaters handle it? Maybe only make R-rated horror films. Well, first of all, I don't know where you live, but where I live, there are still tons of teens in R-rated horror films. All teens need to... First of all, do you know it's not legally required of movie theaters not to let teenagers into R-rated films? That's a guideline. That MPAA thing is not legally binding. It's a guideline. So if a theater really wanted to, they could let a 13-year-old into an R-rated film. There's nothing legally binding them to do that. It's just something they adhere to because they voluntarily do. But even with rated R, teenagers can still get in if one of them is over 19 or 20 or 21, whatever the age is. As long as one person's old enough, then they're being accompanied by an adult and they can all get in. I can't think of a horror movie I've been to where there wasn't a pack of teenagers somewhere for one way or the other getting in. And I am sorry you've had that experience, Devontae, because I guess I'm just spoiled because whether it's been in Canada or here, I have never had an experience, at least not in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, in any horror movie, PG-13 or otherwise, where there was a big disruptive group of kids or cops had to come in or anything like that. Like, I've personally never had that experience, so I'm sorry that you have. What can a theater do about it? Well, I think theaters need to be more aggressive in making a good viewing experience. Like the odd giggle and the odd person saying something, that should be let go. But people who are constantly disruptive, I think movie theaters need to become more aggressive in throwing people out. And saying, look, you're disrupting this, we're going to throw the two of you out. Well, we're never going to come back. Okay, but if we let you stay in here and disrupt the movie for everybody else, we may lose 30 other customers. If we throw you out, we'll lose 2 customers. That sucks, but okay. But I would rather lose you 2 as customers than potentially lose these 30 other people as customers because they're not enjoying their movie-going experience because of you. Theaters need to get more proactive and more aggressive in throwing out disruptive people. And again, I'm not talking about the odd giggle or the odd one thing said out loud or even just people who are just whispering a bit and stuff like that. As long as they're trying to keep it a little bit low. I'm not talking about everything, but like, you know what I'm talking about. There are people who become major disruptions. The one time, I very rarely anymore hear people's phones go off in theaters. It's very, very rare that it happens for me now. But I remember this one time, a couple of years ago, this one person's phone went off and you thought, oh, and you felt embarrassed for them. And then their phone went off again. It's like, oh my God, they forgot to turn their phone off even after the first time. But then it went off again and again. It went off 4 times. They just weren't turning their ringer off. They're just, yeah, give me a call. I mean, people like that, theaters need to be proactive and throw them out. They got to get more aggressive with it. I really do think that. All right. Those are the questions that we had from that were in this morning. Now let's get to the questions that people have sent in today. And we're getting down to your live questions here. And the first one comes to us from P. Cheek, who writes, how much do plot holes bother you? It really depends on the plot hole. If it's a plot hole that is a minor thing, I overlook it. It doesn't bother me that much. I just let it come and go. If it's a major thing, like, wait a minute, you're saying Mrs. Brown was the killer, but earlier in the film, you showed us that Mrs. Brown is in Tahiti. So she couldn't have, now you're just magically saying she's here and she did it? Like, major significant plot holes that affect your understanding of the film itself, that bothers me quite a bit. It really does. And it should bother, I think it bothers most movie fans. But honestly, the smaller ones, it really don't matter. And you know what I found too? A lot of people call things plot holes in movies that aren't plot holes. Like, some people almost take any problem they have with the movie and they call that a plot hole. It's like, and I always want to correct them and go, actually, what you're describing is not a plot hole. I can see why you didn't like that thing, but that isn't technically a plot hole. And I find that too many people just call things they don't like in a movie a plot hole. And I was like, look up what a plot hole means before you start throwing the words around. Anyway, Cameron Belgrade writes, hey, John, I was just wondering what you think of the movie Sideways with Paul Giamatti. I watched it last night and was reminded how much I love it. I love that movie. Not only does it have Paul Giamatti, and I'm embarrassed I'm forgetting these actors' names, but it's got Lowell from Wings, and of course then he was Sandman in that Spider-Man movie. And it's got the doctor, the Asian doctor from, from Grey's Anatomy. She's in it too. And everybody's great. It's a wonderful story. It's just one of those great examples of a movie just telling a story about a guy. And I thought it was really well done. I thought the humor was very sharp. I thought the emotionalism in it was really good. I loved it. And I don't like wine. I don't drink wine. But after watching Sideways, you'll be tempted to buy a couple of bottles of wine and try some wine tasting. And yeah, I don't even like wine. So there you go. Darth Wayne writes, Chris Hemsworth in the Dundee sequel. What the hell's going on? Again, another trailer drop to a movie that doesn't even have a director listed, I still do not believe that this Dundee movie thing is real. It might be. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying bet the house on it. But at this point, I still don't believe it's real. I believe this is a viral marketing campaign for something else. And we will find out about soon enough. Now, you might say, but John, I mean, they're saying it's real. Okay. I still don't buy it. Again, maybe in a month we'll find out it was all real all along. Okay. Then I'll go, good one. But right now, I still don't believe it's a real thing. Andrew Garfield writes, do you think LeBron can take down the Warriors? Look, this is what I always say about the whole thing with LeBron and the Warriors. The fact that the Cavaliers beat the Warriors in one of the finals is remarkable to me because the Golden State Warriors clearly have the better team. They are clearly and significantly the better team. There's no doubt about that. Save one guy, LeBron James. LeBron James won the title with Cleveland against the Golden State Warriors once. I don't know how he did it. But no, one guy cannot win titles. One guy on an inferior team cannot, in a 7-game series, other than the one miracle time that he did it, cannot in a 7-game series just win the whole thing by himself. Even Michael Jordan couldn't do that. Like, a lot of people forget, when Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls, the very next year, the Chicago Bulls were 1 win away from going back to the NBA Finals. That's how good the Chicago Bulls were. That's how good that team was that surrounded Michael Jordan. LeBron James, when in his first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they finished at the number 1 seed in the league. They finished number 1 at the end of the regular season. Then he left. You know what place the Cavaliers finished in the very first season without LeBron James? Dead last. That's the talent that he was surrounded with. And so, look, the Golden State Warriors are just filled with all-stars. The entire team is all-stars. And good for them. Good on them. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Good for them. They were able to put that team together. That's awesome. But to expect one guy on his own, basically, with a broken down Dwayne Wade, a really broken down Rose, a hit or miss Kevin Love, and I love Kevin Love, but a hit or miss Kevin Love, and then a questionable group, no real point guard, a broken down Isaiah Thomas. What can one guy do against a team like the Golden State Warriors? So I'm going to say no. No player. Michael Jordan on this team could not win the title against the Golden State Warriors. I'll go as far as to say that. Anyway, I went too long on that question. Chris Martin writes, favorite Rebels lightsaber fight? Mine was Ahsoka versus Vader. Huh. I think I'll go with that one too, mostly because of the drama involved with it, right? There's built-in drama to that fight. You know the history of Ahsoka and Anakin, aka Vader. You know that there, and then it all comes to this head. So not only is it a really great fight, there's drama and narrative purpose to the fight as well, and therefore it's a really great viewing experience. So I will agree with you. I'll go with the Ahsoka and Vader fight. Kalias Menon writes, Shah Rukh Khan is a big Bollywood movie star. Look him up. Now, do you recognize him, and will we see him in a comic book film? Well, look, I don't need to look him up to answer this question. You can name anybody and say, could we see them in a comic book film? Anything's possible. Any actor that's out there could be in a comic book film. It's possible. Is it likely? I don't know how likely it is. But is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Just like any actor could pop up. It doesn't matter how popular he is overseas or anything like that. But is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. You could see it happen. Maybe one name writes, I'm getting more interested in watching Star Wars Rebels, but I've also never seen Clone Wars. Should I watch Clone Wars first? I'm the wrong guy to ask that question. And the reason I'm the wrong guy to ask that question is because I'm one of the very rare Star Wars fans. I don't like Clone Wars. Don't get me wrong. It had some episodes that are quite good. There are some episodes that are quite good, and I watched the whole series because it's Star Wars, but I just couldn't get into Clone Wars. I'm much more into Rebels. And Rebels has some episodes that are just forgettable. It does. It is not a perfect series, but I enjoy Rebels a lot more. So I will say, no, you don't. If you want to watch Rebels, you do not need to watch Clone Wars. it would help you a little bit to know who Rex is, because Rex is in Clone Wars and he comes back in. To help you know who Ahsoka Tano is, because Ahsoka Tano is in the original one, she comes back in. But none of the main characters in the show are from Clone Wars. All the main characters are totally new characters, and I think you would just be fine. I think you would be just fine doing it without Clone Wars. If you have the time, by all means, watch Clone Wars. By all means, and make up your own mind about it. But I think you're okay for watching Rebels without watching Clone Wars. Chris Martin writes, do you keep in touch with your colleagues at Collider? Not terribly a lot. I mean, Dennis and I, like just Saturday night, Dennis and I got together in Hollywood to go watch the UFC fights. Christian and I text back and forth once in a while. Fact of the matter is, I'm really busy. And they're really busy. So I don't keep in what you would call close contact. Like, I tweet back and forth with Josh McCouga or, things like that. But not a lot, because honestly, I'm doing the same job that an organization with 20 plus full-time people and 2 major corporations backing it, with a giant 10,000 square foot studio space and millions of dollars in budget. I'm practically doing all the same thing, one man by himself in a spare bedroom. I'm busy. I'm real busy. And they're really busy. So probably Dennis is who I keep in touch with the most. And then Christian would probably be a second, but not often and not a lot. Maybe more once everything settles down a bit. And I get more into my groove, and maybe I'm able to, fingers crossed, hire some help. Wouldn't that be amazing? Dante Redgrave writes, Hi, John. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like the upcoming Alita Battle Angel has box office bomb written all over it. Is a $200 million budget a mistake? You and me both. Here's hoping. Here's hoping it's great. I go into every movie hoping it's awesome. And I hope that this movie will be awesome. I hope. I hope that I hope that I hope. I don't know, man. I was not thrilled with the trailer. I don't think many people were thrilled with the trailer. And I'm smelling box office bomb on it too. I hope I'm wrong. And who knows? Maybe it's still a ways away. Maybe new trailers will come out and it'll totally change our perception of it. We've seen that happen before. Maybe that'll happen again here. All right. Let's move on. Next one comes to us from Stevan Gonzalez, who writes, liked Runaways, but wanted to like it more. It felt too melodramatic at times, and to me focused on the parents more than the kids. I'm going to disagree with you. I mean, I'm not going to disagree that you wanted to like it more. It's all subjective. It was your experience with it was your experience with it. Sorry, guys. Was trying to do this without having to use the halls, but I got to use the halls. Forgive me for that. It was everything I thought it should be. Really, it was. For me, because to me, you only really understand what the kids are dealing with, the way the show is set up, if you understand everything going on with the parents. They're two sides to the same coin. And while the kids are clearly the focal point of the show, you have to dedicate a lot of screen time to what's going on with the parents to understand the plight of the kids. To me, at any rate, it seems like you can't have one without the other. So, I'm glad you liked it. I'm sorry you didn't like it more, but I gotta say, for me, it did work on all those levels, and it clicked really well for me, and I'm really, really happy with Runaways. And to me, it just got better and better as the season progressed until the finale. So, but you know what? I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure there are a bunch of people out there that, maybe it just didn't work all that great for. All I can say is that for me, it really did. But thanks for a lot for pointing that out. All right. Carlos Wachua13 writes, just because you don't belong to a certain group doesn't mean you can't talk about it, John. Well, I think what Carlos is talking about is a little bit earlier today, I put up a video called Why the Black Panther Movie and Black Heroes Are Important by a pasty white dude. That's in the title. It's important. It was important for me to put that in the title. And, I'm very proud of that video. I stand by that video and the things I say in that video. And I appreciate your comment of support, Carlos. I really do. Thank you so much. And if you have a chance, check it out. It's on my YouTube page right now. Check it out. And let me know what leave a comment on it. Let me know what you guys think about it. Jeff Kang just puts in a super chat to support me. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. Next one, Jack Reacher writes. Jack Reacher, I like that. Jack Reacher writes, Winchester looks very interesting. The cast is great and the trailer sold me. However, I haven't heard much buzz. Thoughts on Winchester? All right. It's a fascinating story based on allegedly a true story. But I have heard the production of it was a bit of a mess. So I'm not quite sure what to expect out of this movie. I think it looks interesting. Maybe it'll turn out to be great. You're right. Great cast, based on a really interesting story, all that kind of stuff. I'm not feeling it, though. And like I said, I have heard things that there are some people that are not really happy with the way the movie turned out. I don't know how true that is. We're just going to have to wait and see. But I think a lot of people are probably in the same place as you and me, Jack. All right. Maybe one name writes, waffles or pancakes? All right. 9 times out of 10, pancakes. But this is the big exception. There is a restaurant. There's actually a few. They're a small chain here, but there's one main one. There's a restaurant in Hollywood called Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. It is iconic and a landmark. I swear to God they put crack cocaine in these waffles because I cannot stop eating them. It's a good thing it's all the way in Hollywood and like a half-hour drive from me. Because if I could get to it in 5 minutes, I'd be eating those damn waffles every fucking day. They are so. Any of you who have been in LA and you have visited Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, you know what I'm talking about. Those things are as addictive as sweet, sweet crack. Oh my God, they're so good. They are so good. So yes, normally pancakes. But what trumps pancakes normally is a very specific waffle, and that is the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And the chicken is so good too. Oh my God. If you're ever in LA, visit Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And they don't pay me. They haven't given me a thing. It's great too because it's actually right around the corner from Dennis Zen's place. So what I would do is, and it's impossible to find a place in Hollywood. So when I go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, I go and park at Dennis's building because I just pull in because he gave me the passcode to get into his building. I just go down and park in the visitors parking spot in his building and then just walk around the block to go to Roscoe's, which is just perfect. Anyway. Okay. Manny Garcia writes, where'd it go? There it is. Did you read Ready Player One? How excited for the film? I have not read Ready Player One and was listening to the audiobook and went through about 3 weeks of listening to it every morning while we were getting ready in the morning, and she would play the audiobook out loud, and I caught a lot of it, and it sounds great. Look, it's being done by Steven Spielberg. That's enough to get me excited. So yes, I'm super psyched for Ready Player One. I think the trailers look great. I'm pumped for it. I'm ready for it. Mason Barr writes, thoughts on original Clue film? For those of you who haven't heard, the original Clue film. It doesn't hold up great, to be honest with you. I mean, you're talking about an incredible, iconic cast in that movie. Watched it again about a year ago, I think. Doesn't age well. I'll just say that. To me, the movie doesn't age well. It's a classic, though. I am very curious to see what Ryan Reynolds is going to do with the new version of it, though. I think that's really interesting. Chris Martin writes, favorite Robin Williams film? Mine is Hook. His casting as Peter and Dustin Hoffman's casting in Hook is so great. I cried when I heard he passed. Hook was marvelous. I couldn't believe it when I found out there's some people who actually don't like Hook. I think Hook is just the balls. Hook is awesome. I love Hook. Bang-a-rang! I love Hook. Not my favorite Robin Williams film, though. There's Aladdin. There's... I almost called it What's Eating Gilbert Grape. The one he did with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. What? Good Will Hunting. Thank you. My mind finally clicking in. Good Will Hunting is right up there. What's the one with Oh Captain, My Captain? Dead Poet Society. Dead Poet Society. Good Morning Vietnam. Oh my God, man. I'd have to think about that. There are so many great Robin Williams movies. That World According to Garp is one that I like a lot more than most other people do. Yeah, man. And I don't know if you saw, but when Robin Williams died, we started off, I was doing Movie Talk at the time, and we started off Movie Talk with me just giving an address first, and I broke down. I've never broken down like that over the passing of a celebrity. And there's something about Robin Williams and how special he was to us, and how much joy he brought to us, and how many laughs he brought to us. I just broke down. I don't know if any of you guys remember watching me all the way back then, but That was an emotional day. Johnny Osegura writes, what if a side effect from Scarlet Witch's powers is that it causes human genes to mutate, eh? Anyways, love the show. Bring on the filthy. I mean, yeah, you could. That wouldn't explain how they've been around all this time, though. I mean, if you want to introduce the mutants into the MCU as a brand new thing, like mutants just started being born recently, that's one way you could do it. However, if you want to say that Professor Charles Xavier has been around for a while and has had his powers, then saying that the mutants are a side effect of Scarlet Witch's powers doesn't really work. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to come up with something else. All right. Aruk Usaki writes, did you watch the original 1997 Spawn movie, and what did you think of it? Are you interested in the new Spawn reboot movie? Do you have any high hopes? Thank you. Oh yeah, that 1997 one sucked. With Martin Sheen, that movie was terrible. Or as Charles Barkley would say, terrible. That movie was just terrible. It was an awful movie. I have no hopes for this new one. Mostly because, McFarlane himself is involved with it. I have no hopes. If he was doing a new comic book, I'd be more interested in that. But I still don't believe it's actually even going to happen, to be honest with you. And if it does, I think it'll come across as low budget and cheap and just as bad as the first one. I don't like the first one at all. Koba writes, how funny would it be if Rampage is the first good video game movie? I am excited for Tomb Raider 2, though. You know what? I haven't even thought of Rampage as a video game movie, but you're absolutely right. Rampage is a video game movie. This might be it. Because I'm going to tell you, these trailers to me look good. Then again, the trailers to Assassin's Creed looked really good, and look how that movie turned out. But, yeah, I mean, Rampage could be the movie. This could be the one. That is the first truly enjoyable, entertaining, and good comic book movie, video game adaptation movie. Could happen. I have more hopes for Tomb Raider, although I will say I haven't loved, especially the latest one. I have not loved the latest Tomb Raider trailer, but still, it's just a trailer, whatever. We'll see. We'll see, Koba. All right. Jaz Inthan, Sass Ithan writes, any on early screening of Black Panther? Well, I will let you guys in on a secret regarding Black Panther. I just received my invitation to the world premiere. As I wrote to my buddy, I am so excited I could cry. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to go, and when am I seeing? I'm seeing it on Monday. So today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days. In 5 days, I get to go see Black Panther. I will, of course, take lots of pictures down there and post pictures and things like that. Hopefully do a little bit of video, maybe a little Facebook live streaming and stuff like that as well. But obviously not from inside the theater. But Monday I see Black Panther. So hopefully, I don't know when they're going to set a review embargo for yet, but maybe right after. Maybe there's no review embargo. Maybe I'm going to be able to see it on Monday and I'll be able to talk about it on Tuesday. Who knows? Keep your eyes open, and I will let you guys know as I know more. Eric Kelly writes, will the Open Mic Show have an audio-only podcast? There is an audio-only podcast. However, it is only for my Patreon supporters. And specifically, well, here's the thing. The John Campea Show, which is 7 days a week, Star Wars Talk Tuesday, and The Weekly Hero are available to all of my Patreon supporters as audio-only podcasts. So you can watch the show, or if you want to listen to it in your car, you can download it there and listen to it there. Open Mic is only for my team levels. They're one of my highest level supporters is team level. There are people who support me at like $15 a month or something like that. So the Open Mic podcast is for my Patreon supporters who are team level and above. All the other ones, the John Campea Show, Star Wars Talk Tuesday, and Weekly Hero is for everybody. Open Mic is for my team level supporters and above. But it's not available just generally to the public as per se. Chris Martin writes, can't wait for the Obi-Wan spinoff. Interested to see what story they would like to tell. It's important to keep in mind, though, Chris. Disney hasn't said they're doing it. There have been reports, there have been this and that. It's important to understand there has been no official word that there is a possibility here we're not getting an Obi-Wan movie. We've been speculating and There have been reports and rumors and all these kind of things, but it's important for us to keep in mind, at no point did Disney come out and say, we're doing an Obi-Wan movie. They haven't said that, as far as I know. So it's great to be excited about it, but let's not get too excited until Disney makes it official that it is actually happening. Manny Garcia writes, if the Solo movie bombs, any changes in the Star Wars universe? Look, I said this before, I will say it again. If Star Wars bombs, or sorry, if Solo bombs, and even by the way, you got to then define what's a bomb. 600 million? 600 million ain't a bomb. 600 million is profitable. But let's say Solo makes $350 million, okay, and it bombs. I'd even maybe say 400 million is a bomb for it. Let's say that happens. I think maybe Kathleen Kennedy might be shown the door. I do. Mostly because if Solo bombs, it'll probably be because of all the director drama. And director drama has been the hallmark. Other than with JJ and other than with Rian Johnson, director drama has been the hallmark of all the Star Wars projects under Kathleen Kennedy. And that's her job, is to get directors on board who are on the same page with her. And that hasn't happened. I love Kathleen Kennedy. But that is an important part to her job. And there has been a lot of drama. Whether it was with Josh Trank, whether it was with Lord and Miller, whether it was with Colin Trevorrow, whether it was with, there were some rumors that there were some people on the different page with Star Wars Rogue One. I mean, right now, Kathleen doesn't have the best track record of making sure that her directors are on the same page with her before hiring them. And as a result, there's been a lot of drama. So I think if Solo bombs, and by the way, I do not think Solo will bomb. It's not going to make $1 billion, but it's not going to bomb. But if it did, I think maybe Kathleen Kennedy would be gone. I'm not saying that for sure. I'm not saying I have insider information, but also I feel very confident it'll at least make $600 million worldwide, probably closer to $700 million worldwide, which means it'll be a profitable movie and everything will be fine. Kevin Bennett writes, if you were a betting man, which 2018 comic book movies are likely to breach your top 10? Which ones are in jeopardy of falling out? Well, it's impossible to say because I haven't seen any of them. But I think obviously Infinity War is probably the one that has the best chance of breaking into my top 10 favorite comic book films. I mean, obviously, so could Deadpool 2. So could Black Panther. So could any of the other films. So could Aquaman. So could any of the ones. But if I have to pick one that I think probably has the best chance, I think like most people, I will agree with most people that it's probably going to be Avengers Infinity War. Probably. But who knows? Maybe the movie will suck. We just won't know till we see it. Dylan Grunwald writes, hi, John. Michael B. Jordan recently compared the relationship between T'Challa and Killmonger to that of Professor X and Magneto. This has me very excited. Magneto is my all-time favorite villain. Well, I'll go one step further, Dylan. Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character. Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character. I love him. And I would love to see that type of a dynamic between T'Challa and Killmonger, between Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman. I think that would be fabulous and really interesting to see if they played it out right. I doubt, though, that it's going to be a lot like the relationship between Magneto and Charles. I don't know that they're going to have it where they were best friends their whole life, and then just one, and then Killmonger's. I don't know that they're going to do that. If they do, that'll be awesome. I'm not sure that they will, but it's an interesting comment for him to make, and I'm very excited to see this movie. Monday. I'm very excited to see this movie. Thanks a lot, Dylan. I appreciate that. Trevor Johnson just disappeared. Where'd Trevor Johnson go? Trevor Johnson writes, and by the way, guys, if you have not, I got about 10 minutes left, so if you have not sent in a super chat question yet at this point, please do not send in any more at this point. All right, Trevor Johnson writes, I know it's always Star Trek versus Star Wars. That's not really. But I'm a Stargate man myself. Ever watched the show / movie? Thoughts? Richard Dean Anderson was my idol. I loved the show. I used to watch the show all the time. I didn't watch the spin-off shows. I think I tried to watch the last one they did, but I didn't really keep up with it. And yeah, I saw the movies as well, and the ones based on the original cast at any rate. And I liked Stargate a lot, actually. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And you're right, Richard Dean Anderson was great in that. Even when he moved on from being the leader to just being the general role, and he didn't have as active of a role in the show as he used to before that. Even then, it was still pretty good. And yeah, I like Stargate a lot. I mean, it's no Star Wars, but I really do quite enjoy Stargate. Okay. KS NASCAR Fantasy sends in 2 super chats. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Jeff Kang sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Jeff. Ben Rayner writes, can they still use the Caltex? The Caltex? Oh, the Codex. The Caltex. The Codex. Can they still use the Codex in Man of Steel 2, even though Kal-El died? Or is that plot done and gone? Let's put it this way. I don't think it's done and gone, but I don't think they're going to use it yet. I think they might hold on to that whole Codex thing for maybe a storyline somewhere down the line if they want to. But I don't think it's going to play a major role in Man of Steel 2. Never know, but I don't think it's going to play a major role in Man of Steel 2. Kansas NASCAR Fantasy writes, your use of the Star Trek franchise and its box office when answering a Star Wars question on your Saturday show help me win an argument. Well, good. I'm glad my shows can be of some use, some practical use to some people. You know, I used to say on my shows that here's my hope, that in watching my shows, you will be more informed than any of your friends, and you will come across as smarter than any of your friends, and you will win more arguments because of the information you get on my shows. That, I'm sure it doesn't always work out that way, but that is one of my goals, is to make that if you, my viewers, go into these movie debates and discussions with people more well-armed than they are. So if that happens, great. I'm sure I fail at that quite often, though, but if I can accomplish that, awesome. All right. Adam K. writes, just a clarification. Films based on comics have gotten screenplay nominations. Ghost World, History of Violence. Logan is the first superhero comic film. This is the thing. This is a discussion I have all the time, though. Things like Ghost World, things like Road to Perdition, things like that, I don't really qualify them as comic books. I really qualify those as graphic novels, like one-shot graphic novels, which I don't consider that the same as to me, a comic book is an ongoing serialized characters that, you know, blah, blah, blah. That to me is comic book. And I understand there's no probably hard, fast definition, but things like 300, Road to Perdition, Ghost World, History of Violence, things like that, I actually don't consider those comic book movies. Yes, the medium they used was a printed page with art on it to tell the story. Yes, but I still don't consider those comic books. Those are one-shot graphic novel stories, as opposed to, I consider a comic book a long-term serialized running story with superheroes and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I feel comfortable, Adam, using the phrase comic book movie. And I think most people, when I say comic book movie, understand that what I'm talking about. That I'm not talking about Road to Perdition. I'm not talking about Ghost World. I'm not talking about those things, even though they find their origins in, you know, page and drawings. Yes, but I think most people understand what I mean when I say that. But you're not wrong. When you point out that distinction, you're not wrong. I'm just saying that's how I approach it myself. It's a valid thing to bring up, though. Zombie Howl writes, why did Boss Baby / Ferdinand get a nomination over Your Name / A Silent Voice / Lego Batman movie? I don't get it. Are their voters daft? Keep bringing on the filthy. Because all film is subjective. That's it. There is no measuring stick that says the Lego Batman movie is better than Batman. There's none. You can say there is, but there's none. There's nothing that proves one movie is better than another. All we have is the subjective opinions of the animation branch of the Academy who looked at the films and they decided to nominate one over a bunch of others. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It's the same thing about Patrick Stewart not getting a Best Supporting Actor nomination. It just is what it is. Film is subjective. It struck them in a way different than it struck me, and I just got to live with that. But trust me, man, a lot of people are asking the same question. Koba writes, do you watch David Attenborough's nature shows, Planet Earth, Blue Planet, etc.? When I was on vacation over Christmas and sick as hell and bedridden, I got into watching, as a matter of fact, I got into watching Planet Earth. I loved it. I loved it. The one scene about the little lizards that get born underground, they come up to the surface, and then they got to run to the rocks before this army of freaking creepy as hell snakes come and get them. Oh my God, it's one of the best, coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Scary as hell. It was real drama. I loved it. So, yes, and I quite enjoyed them while I was on vacation. Kevin Bennett writes, particularly annoying example of Deus Ex Machina. Particularly annoying example. I'm not quite sure, Kevin, I gotta be honest, I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking. If you guys in the comment section understand what it is he's asking, start a discussion amongst yourselves. What do you guys think? Manuel Fernandez writes, I would like to start following football, but I literally know nothing about it other than team names, some of the well-known players, and some of the basics. Where should I start? Wow. That's a great question. You know, I've just played and followed football most of my life. I mean, but it is quite a complicated game, really. I mean, on its basics, one team's trying to move the ball into that end zone, the other team is trying to move the ball into that end zone. But when you get into all the rules and everything, it can be quite a complicated game, for sure. So where to start? Look up some YouTube videos. Maybe look at the basics of football. Yeah, try searching on YouTube for the basics of football and see if you can get picked up there. And then start following the New England Patriots and the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, and you'll be well on your way. I just made a whole bunch of you mad. That's fine. Thanks a lot, Manuel. All right, last two questions. William Kim writes, what are the chances of the Gareth Evans movie happening now? Which Gareth Evans movie? What are the chances of the Gareth Evans movie happening now? The Godzilla movie? The Star Wars movie he was going to be doing? I'm sorry, but I don't know. You guys, you have to be a little bit more clear in what it is you're asking in your question sometimes, because guys, maybe if I think about it, I'll go, oh, I know what he's talking about, but I'm sitting here on the spot. I've got 3 monitors with information streaming all over the place. What are the chances of the Gareth Evans movie happening now? I don't know what you're asking, man. Sorry about that. So I need to move on to Daniel Benavides, who writes, Cammeister, I saw Hostels last night and absolutely loved it. Have you seen it? And if yes, what did you think? Bring on that filthy. Well, actually, I was out of the country when they were doing the press screening, so I have not seen it yet. I'm hearing nothing but great things about it. Anne is busy tomorrow night, so I might take tomorrow night just to walk down to the AMC Burbank 16 by myself and just go watch it. Because Anne and I have a couple friends coming over tonight, but tomorrow night I think I might go down and check it out, because I'm hearing, you're not the first one to tell me about this, Dane. I mean, everybody I know who's seen it just loved it. And some people loved it so much that they're a little bit confused that it didn't get more Oscar love. So, good movie to bring up. All right, and with that, we are right on the dot. It is 5 p.m. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me here today for this episode of Open Mic. And by the way, guys, this is a new show. It's going to evolve and change. And the way it's going to evolve and change, you tell me, do you like having those live, having it all live questions? Do you like having those audio and video questions that you guys as fans sent in? By the way, I'm going to remind you one more time, if you want to send in a video or audio question, again, email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word open mic in the subject line. Remember, guys, this is not an email to send written questions. This is for sending audio and video questions. And of course, keep those to 20 seconds or less. Please keep them to 20 seconds or less. And hey, guys, before I let you go, let me do my quick shameless plug here. If you guys enjoy watching my show and you enjoy what we do here, do me a favor. Check out the thing that makes my shows even possible, which is my Patreon page. Going over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about, number 1, what it means to be a Patreon supporter. Number 2, how being a Patreon supporter makes my shows possible. And number 3, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter. And then maybe you'll decide to be a Patreon supporter too. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. I'm just happy you're here being a film fan with us. All right, guys, that will do it for me. My name is John Campea. Thanks for joining me. And until the next video, bye-bye.